Welcome to the Holistic Horse Conference. I am one of the hosts. My name is Joan Renquet. I'm an animal communicator, and my co-host is.
And Dr. Jeff Grognet. Hello, everybody. And I get to introduce Dr. Renee Tucker. And Dr. Tucker has been a holistic equine veterinarian for over 30 years. She's certified in animal chiropractic, equine acupuncture, and has co-created her own healing alignment energy technique called the Tucker Biokinetic Technique, TBT. After struggling to find true lasting results with horse problems, she realized that vet school taught her to ask the wrong questions. I guess we'll probably get into that. And her main goal these days is to help people find solutions for their horses. And just so you know, she is in the LA area. So, welcome, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. It's be
You're,
fun.
you're
Yeah,
very welcome. So, I mean, you and I went through the same procedure. We went through vet school and we learned everything we needed to know in vet school. Yeah, right. And so,
We hoped.
so,
We
so,
hoped.
so being a doctor, how did you end up moving into the holistic world?
Well, probably like you guys and also like everybody listening, I was just looking for answers. I know that sounds kind of dumb, but I thought I would get all the answers going to vet school because I just really wanted to help horses, just love horses. And it's absolutely very helpful. But as a veterinarian, as a, a medical person, what we're really taught is to study the symptoms, maybe to get blood tests and physical symptoms and the history, put together those puzzle pieces. And basically our job is to put a label on it, aka a diagnosis, and then give the medication if that's what's applicable. And so what I found was we really am not taught to ask the question, well, why is the problem there in the first place? Why do I have all these symptoms in the first place? That's not the questions that are being asked.
mhm.
And so really this is the number one thing that I want people to know is just keep asking the question, but why? Is my horse coughing? Okay, sure, coughing, and maybe they'll label it as asthma or COPD or whatever label they want to put on it. And then they're going to give you medication. Well, why is your horse coughing? Right? That's not what we're getting to. And so that kind of, once that realization really hit me at about, I would say 5 years into traditional veterinary medicine, I was like, wait a minute. Hold on here. There's a real limit to what I can do as a veterinarian when I want to help these horses. Where can I get these answers? And the first thing I did was the chiropractic that you mentioned, and then I added acupuncture, and then I just kept on looking because I kept running into the ceiling of the knowledge of information of how to really help and not just treat the symptoms. That's my big thing. Because treating symptoms, geez Louise, it's not an answer. It's just frustrating for me as a veterinarian, and of course the horse and the horse owner.
Yeah.
So I would love to ask, how much do you think emotions or environment play into a condition once something has come on, a condition or a disease?
Right. I don't know that I can like say a percentage or anything. It's certainly all is involved. Absolutely. If the horse is in an unhappy or stressful environment, stress always exacerbates the problem. I
Mm,
don't believe stress is ever the primary cause for anything, but it absolutely exacerbates it. Kind of the same thing with emotion most of the time, in my opinion. If you got bad emotions, if you got the owner of the horse, sometimes they just like to cuss horses out like they're not even there. Like, oh, this horse is just being lazy. He's not lame, just lazy. Like, the horse is lame. But
right?
anyways, all that negative environments can definitely exacerbate what's going on with the horse. That's for sure. But it does depend the environment, the food, everything involved there. The horse's friends or lack of friends, or do they have a good place to go, or do they have pasture, all that stuff goes hand in hand with health.
Yeah. No, that's the thing. Like I say, we graduate as veterinarians, and it's a cookbook type of practice,
Hmm.
Yeah,
right? You see these symptoms. Hey, yep, I got 8 out of 10 on that list. That means I've got this diagnosis, which means I got this treatment right here, right?
exactly.
And unfortunately, and I do this a fair bit. Unfortunately, that from the diagnosis to the treatment, there's a thing in the middle called pharmaceutical company,
Yeah.
and it boom, and it just goes
Yeah,
straight to that, right?
right.
And I mean, same with human medicine. They love pharmaceuticals that they're on long term. And
Hmm.
so so there's no real emphasis to be able to say, hey, I think we can get you off this medication by doing this. And that's what your
Exactly.
approach, that's called the holistic approach when you merge
Yeah.
that into that arena.
So, what is the Tucker biokinetic technique?
Well, so as I mentioned, I just kept looking for answers because every modality helps. It's so interesting. So like chiropractic, that's for bones. If you align the bones, then it helps all the alignment of the body. That's very helpful, certainly for more musculoskeletal issues. And then you add acupuncture, and that works really great for the energy flow in the body because we're all energetical and electrical or whatever. So it helps plenty of problems that are more electrical or energetical in nature. But if that's not the primary problem, acupuncture doesn't help. So with the chiropractic, if the bones aren't the primary problem, it doesn't help, right? So many modalities are helpful, but they don't necessarily fix everything because they're aimed at a primary thing, like massage therapy. Wonderful. I love a massage. But if the muscles aren't the primary problem, the problem just comes back again. So you see where I'm going with that. So what I really worked with to get the Tucker by Kinetic technique is it's an energy technique because we are literally all made of atoms, right? And all of our atoms have electrons that are all whizzing around. And so you can focus our own energy, and all the TBT technique does is help the body's own innate healing mechanisms to heal, to kind of remove those energy blockages that are negative, get rid of those, and help the body fix itself. So, yeah, it's just really focused on that, the very bottom primary problem. Because like we're just talking about what's causing what. There's so many options of what's the primary cause and how you find that. So with TBT, we also find the primary causes by asking energetical yes, no questions of the horse's energy field. So it's not the same as animal communication, which I think is awesome, but this is just very much kind of like a magnet or, a baddie. There's a positive and negative. And so you can just learn to feel a positive energy or a negative energy. It's yes or no. It's fairly straightforward. Um,
Is
well,
it
once you
through
learn it,
muscle
everything is
testing?
easy, right? I'm sorry, could you repeat
Is
that?
it through muscle testing?
You can do muscle testing, but no, you could also do hand, those little hand things that you can do the hold
Yeah.
your hand tight and try to pull. You could do that. You could do dowsing. You could do those things, but we just do it just by asking and getting ourselves in a position to listen. So I
I
know that sounds super weird. I totally
no,
get that coming
no,
from a
that's
science veterinarian, but energy is real. And I really feel like that's where things are going in, even in uh, our lives. There's quantum computers and everything is going AI, and it's all out there and it's all energy and neurons and all this stuff. But that's really where the answers are because
well,
we're
to me
built of molecules.
that
Yeah.
is animal communication though,
Well,
right?
there you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
totally animal communication.
Okay. So I
Yeah.
think what you need to do, Renee, is let's start with you go out and see a horse and you see it with a problem. You can pick the problem. Uh,
Okay.
just go through the whole procedure on how this thing would work.
Well, okay. Well, it really depends on that example problem. So, okay, let me throw you one out. Um, because I lurk in a lot of Facebook groups for horses, and it's all very sad, frankly, because it's all traditional medicine for the most part, and there's no answers. I'm not saying anyone's doing anything wrong. I really believe everyone's doing their best that they know,
Mm,
but these people are not getting answers. So I was in the equine asthma group and just frankly horrified that these horses are on nebulizers 4 times a day and they can't breathe and their heart rates are through the roof and they can't breathe and they're sweating because they're trying to breathe. They're using that much muscle and they're just standing there. Anyways, it was horrible. So, okay. So as a veterinarian, I'd go up to a horse who has asthma and I'd say, okay, can't breathe. Usually they're coughing. And I just want to put this little tip for the audience. If traditional medicine consistently is changing the name of the same problem, that's a sign that they don't really know what's going on.
right.
Because this equine asthma, quote unquote, it used to be called HEAVES back in the day. And then it was called COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. And then they threw in RAO, recurrent airway obstruction. And I'm sure there's more that I'm missing. And now it's generally equine asthma. This is all variations of symptoms. They just focus on one thing about the airway or one thing about the breathing, and they name it something else. But every one of those things, all, like you said, Dr. Jeff, just point to the cookbook of what's the pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah.
Now, for sure, people are trying to get the horse to breathe. It's not bad to try that, but those are focused on opening the airways and calming down the inflammation that's in the lungs. Nowhere does anyone say, but why is there inflammation in
Information
the
a lot.
lungs?
Right.
Yeah, but why is my horse coughing? I
Yeah.
understand this medication is helping the horse breathe. That's fine. But why is it there in the first place? So the answer that I worked on is that all that stuff is because there's an amalgamated toxin that's stuck in the lungs. It's a whole bunch of toxins that all got together and kind of glued together, amalgamated, I guess is the real term. So it's too heavy and too big for the body's immune system to get rid of. But the body's immune system keeps on trying. So inflammation keeps going in there and all the white blood cells and all the part of the immune system that's trying to gather up this stuff and get rid of it, and it can't do it. So long story short, if I walked up to an asthmatic horse, then I would use a product that I just made for the lungs that just de-energizes the amalgamation. It lets all those toxins that are glued together just kind of come apart. And then the body can get them out one by one. Okay. So many of our chronic conditions are because of, frankly, man-made stuff that the body's not designed to get rid of. But we can help with that, particularly with alternative medicines, alternative treatments, and of course, TBT, got to say it, right? So, yeah, so we can fix a lot of stuff. We just get down to that nitty-gritty of what's really going on.
So is it a body technique or is it that you're answering questions and then you have products that help?
So I do have some products for people where their horse um, needs to take the time to process it. For example, what I just said was we can de-amalgamate, I don't really know the word there, these toxins. But if you do all that at one time,
Right.
now the body is flooded with all the
Right.
stuff that it can get rid of, and that's not a good idea. So the technique itself can de-amalgamate the toxins, but you don't want to do that all at once. So if you're there with a TBT practitioner, you could do that and then come back every week or something like that, do a little bit more, because you don't want to overwhelm the system. Or I do have a product and they can just do it every day. It's this little tiny herbal-based product. But the technique itself deals with the primary causes, which I put in like 5 different whatever categories. So physical is one, emotional, mental, spiritual, and other. So we get everything in there.
Could be chemical,
So
could be environmental. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. The whole holistic
Mhm.
approach, because it's not just physical. usually. Well, I guess chemicals and toxins are physical, but they're not supposed to be in the body.
Well, I mean,
So,
a chemical could be in a body and that body's fine, but if the next person has that chemical and they're stressed, it does a different thing.
sure. Sure. Plus, they add up. So then the
Yeah,
more they're getting it, the worse things are. It's like our horses are sicker now, just like people and dogs and everything. Everybody is sicker now than they ever have been.
yeah.
Because I remember 30 years ago, we didn't have these problems.
No,
And if they did, they were so rare. Now it's like
I
every horse in the barn is like, what's their problem?
I know. When I
They
was
all
a kid,
have something.
we had a dog that lived to be 23 and we had horses that lived to be ancient. This time last year, I had to let go of my beloved horse that lived to be 36. So I, I'm, I'm working on the longevity with quality of life thing with
Right.
if I can.
Yeah.
Great.
Cool.
Okay. So asthma obviously is one of your top goals to work with. What
Sure.
other things can your technique, your program work on, Renee?
Well, it can work on anything. I always like to say we can fix anything given enough time.
Okay,
Sometimes
so
if the horse is 35, it may be running out of time.
well that one no. But like your ring bone, navicular, laminitis, things like that.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
can you reverse?
Sure. And that's the point of my book that I will have a coupon code for you guys is called Reverse the Diagnosis. So there's three main diseases that I focus on in there, which is kissing spine, suspensory injuries, and I forgot the other one, but it's three of them. And even if you don't have a horse with that, you can learn how to think through this. Okay. So, for example, okay, well, as you just said, laminitis.
Hmm.
That is a problem of how people are keeping their horse and feeding their horse and trimming their horse. That's it. You don't need TBT for that. You just need to fix what you're doing. Okay. But that's not out there. But I have that in my school or whatever you want to call it. So navicular, all right, that's a disease of the horse's navicular bone that's in the hoof, and it makes them lame. And you can look on an X-ray and see that the navicular bone, it has little holes in it, so it's having problems. Okay. So then again, we go through our cookbook and say, oh, yes, we have a lame horse who's sore on the heels and has X-ray problems. It's navicular. Yay. Let's put shoes on it and give it some medications.
Be
Well, why is the navicular having problems? And that is all because of the trim and the shoeing of the horse. Simple. You don't need TBT for that. You need to fix what you're doing. Not
Yeah,
you, but your farrier,
yeah,
whoever.
that's
You know what I'm saying? So not every single thing needs a TBT person. Mostly what we do is align stuff because horses, do you know that our bodies are so greatly made that we are always healing everything all the time? And really, if we get misaligned, like if the sternum is off and the pelvis is crooked and your head's on crooked, the horse should be able to just go roll in the pasture and it all just and go right back into place. But they can't because our systems are so overloaded with crap that it can't fix it by itself and it needs help to get to a place where it can start fixing it by itself again, how it was supposed to be done in the first place. But so, yeah, I do have a holistic approach. Yes, I certainly use the energy technique on many things, but there's also the environment, the shoeing, the teeth floating for horses, that can be not done at all or done improperly, and that causes its whole bunch of problems. Plus the saddle fit, let's not forget. There's plenty of things,
right.
uh,
yeah,
but it all can be fixed.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So what you're looking at is our management techniques
That's what I always
are
call
are
them.
flawed.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Like with navicular, all you're getting is tilting of that bone a little bit, and it generates discomfort, pain, inflammation, whatever you want to call that. But like you say, if we get the shoeing done correctly, you think we'd have it figured out by now, but obviously we haven't got there yet.
Right. Right. It's
and
pretty funny. Yeah.
yeah. And so on that, and just to throw this one for you, Renee, navicular or hoof problems. Is there an advantage with going au natural and not shoeing?
100%.
Hmm.
Any shoe is hurting the horse. Any shoe. I
Okay.
don't care if it's therapeutic shoeing or whatever shoeing, it's going to hurt the horse. Unless they broke their foot or chopped off a piece of the hoof wall, something extreme. But in general, there's just an unlimited problems with the horseshoe that I could go on and on about. But I absolutely agree with the barefoot approach
Yeah.
and shoeing to the horse's constants of the pedal bone or the coffin bone, where it has a nice arch in it, and that nice arch makes the sole, and you just follow this hard sole plane, and then you have a natural foot. Again, it doesn't seem too hard when when I say it like that. But I think people maybe don't realize that horse trimmers and farriers, they don't get that training. Every farrier trimmer school, they all have a different hoofing philosophy. They literally call it a philosophy. Like
Yes.
I'll ask a trimmer in my area who's been there forever and the heels are way too high. I won't say his name. And I say, well, what's your trimming style here or whatever? And he'll, oh, our philosophy is to follow the frog and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, but the frog changes all the time. The frog is a
Right.
cushion. It's malleable. It's supporting the hoof, whatever the hoof needs. So why would you go by that? That's not a constant. You know what I'm saying? So I prefer going by the hoof anatomy, and what's constant for the hoof is mostly solid bone. So let's go by that rather than the frog, which changes, or the angles.
Yeah.
Angles change depending on how you trim it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I can go on about that, but absolutely barefoot is best.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Great.
I was in my early years, I trimmed hooves, but it's primarily ponies, and the thing about them is they were barefoot. Ponies can do
Nice.
that. And that I'm going back 50 years.
Yeah.
So, and that's when I was trimming them, and we were, and we even had a couple of miniature ponies that were somehow born, and we didn't even know how they arrived, but they were miniature, and the hooves are only that big, right? So
Oh
you're kind of
yeah.
looking at it, go, how do I trim that carefully? And you just,
Yeah.
but the point is that those ponies, I just trimmed them. I did it to line up with what I saw, and it worked. And but ponies are also lighter, and they don't have the same stresses as a horse would have, I guess.
But a horse in the wild isn't, I mean, they're adjusting to the environment all the time. So their foot is going to adjust. And I mean, that's uh, um, yeah, I mean, they don't have shoes. So
Yeah,
Right. I agree. Yeah.
yeah. There's an just to throw it out, there's an island right next to us, and it had a horse on it, and it became a provincial park. And when they gave the land to the province for the park, the part of the deal was every year they had to send someone in to trim the hooves of the horse until the horse died.
Once a year. Wow.
Yeah, once a year. And that was it. And there's also sheep on the island too. But the point is, Fred, that was the name of the horse. I don't know how long he lived, but he was there, and until he finally croaked. But the point is, like you say, it's natural, you know, with a little
Yeah.
little bit of help from their friends. So anyway, with your techniques, Renee, the I guess the main thing is if someone wanted to learn about this or utilize it on their horses, how do they do that?
Well, luckily I have a school for that. Thanks
mhm.
for that question. Well, let me just say, if you're looking for information on any particular problem on your horse, I have two websites. So the first one is wheredoesmyhorsehurt.com. It's a really long name that goes along with my book that my publisher named. Where does my horse hurt? Okay. If you're looking for any information, all your answers are there. It's all free. Just go look it up. Now, if you would be interested in learning this energy technique, which can align everything, fix most all problems, that's at tuckerbiokinetic.com. And it's all explained there, what it's about, and all that kind of
Okay.
stuff. So thank you for asking.
Yeah.
We welcome anybody. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to have like anatomy background or any of that stuff. I try to keep it as simple as possible
Okay.
And
because
then do you
you
have
don't want to
people,
complex everything.
yeah, do you have people that have gone through your school and do the body work for others?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah. So they're also listed on wheredoesmyhorsehurt.com. They're on practitioners, and we have practitioners like all around the world. Pretty cool.
That's
People
very,
from everywhere. And a lot of people, well, not okay, probably 30 or 40% are people who have a horse and nobody could fix them. So they're like invested in the schooling themselves and they fix their own horse. And then it turns out they had plenty of other people who wanted them to fix them too. And we got people in Panama and Sweden and Portugal and everywhere. It's really fun. Yeah. I
That's
love hearing all the happy reports from everywhere. It's great.
okay. Okay, so I'm going to have your website listing is below, so we've got that so people can
Okay.
zip in and have a look at that.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
let's just go into you've got a book that people can get as well, Renee.
But yeah, so that's that one I referred to. It's called Reverse the Diagnosis. That's an ebook, and it also does come with some videos, and it's normally $29.95, but you guys get a code. And I went ahead and used the coupon code Jeff, Jeff, easy to remember, right? And that's a
Yeah,
$25
okay.
off.
Okay.
Okay, well, it's Jeff now. I could change it. But yeah. So it'd just be $4.95 for the ebook with videos. And it gives you the whole idea of how to wrap your mind around this holistic thinking and keep asking, but why? And how to get to the answers, not just, here's your pill. See you in the morning.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on your list, and which is why I brought you on. I've tried some of your stuff on my horses, and it's great.
Oh,
Just
thank
from
you.
your
Good.
newsletter emails and stuff. So
Yeah.
I try everything, and yeah, it was awesome. Thank you.
Okay, there's an
Oh,
endorsement.
cool.
That's for
Thank you
sure.
very much. Appreciate it.
Mhm.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay. Any final
Cool.
thoughts, Renee?
Gosh, no, I'm just so glad that you're doing this. I think more and more people are realizing answers are out there and they're not the cookbook traditional medicine in a lot of cases.
Mhm.
But if you just keep searching, you can find answers for everything and get your horse out of pain and discomfort. So
Yeah.
yay for everyone watching. Yay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming on board, Renee.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
you're welcome. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Very
thank
awesome.
you.
Okay.
See you
So thank
later.
you everyone for watching. And if you want to follow up with Renee, have a look at her book, have a look at her sites, and that way you'll be able to look at this sort of neat way to look at horses. Okay.
I'm
But
getting my copy now.
okay, there you go. So thank you for coming on board. We'll catch you in the next webinar.